everybody, this is Justina with JustynaTHandMade, and in today's video I'm gonna walk you through how to create the Scarlet Sling backpack. This is one of my patterns, and this pattern comes with the full written instructions illustrated with pictures, so you don't need this video to create your own bag, but it's been requested from me from multiple people to create a video tutorial, so that's why I decided to create one for this pattern. I think the bag is so cute, and it comes together way easier than you can imagine it does. It's constructed out of vinyl, but you can, for the main outer fabric, you can use a woven fabric or waterproof canvas, especially if you're gonna add the zipper overlay out of vinyl. Then you don't have to worry about leaving raw edges of a woven fabric. This pattern, as it's written originally, doesn't include the zipper overlays, but I will include the PDF templates for both in the description below, so if you are interested in adding them on, you can access them following the link in the description. This bag features a front zipper pocket, so you have space for some items that you want to access quickly in the front. And on the back, it has the main opening. I want to create the opening on the back so it's secure when you're carrying the bag. So this is the main opening for the bag. It's nice and large. Obviously the bag is fully lined inside, so this is your main opening of the project. And then also you have another secure zipper pocket on the back where you can slip your cell phone, maybe a smaller wallet, so it's also easily accessible but secure. Like I said, the bag is designed for vinyl, but you can use other materials. I would just keep in mind that this pocket is left with the raw edge, so an accent vinyl is advised. And the full list of supplies for this project is available on Etsy. You can just view the listing. The supply list is available before you purchase the pattern. Also, as a tradition, every time I release a video, I offer a discount for my patterns. So if you are a member of my Facebook group or you want an access to the discount, you can join my Facebook group and have access to a discount code for this pattern, and the discount code will be valid for 1 week from the premiere of this video. If you already have the pattern, you are all set. You can just download the free zipper overlays and you can follow me along in the video to create your own bag. If this is the first time you come across my video tutorial, please consider subscribing if you at any point enjoyed this video. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for supporting my YouTube channel, and I hope you're gonna enjoy this video as well. And now, if you want to see how this cute sling backpack comes together, please keep watching. To start our project, I will run through our pattern pieces. Like I said, this pattern comes with the full written instructions, so you're gonna have written instructions on the pattern pieces as well. So I'm just gonna do a quick run through. Also, I'm gonna mention the other hardware and supplies needed to complete the project. So you're gonna have our top connector that you're gonna cut on mirror, so you wanna make sure that you have two pieces that look the same on mirror. This is our side connector. Then we're gonna have all elements needed for our front pocket, so you're gonna have the zipper tape, a piece of vinyl for zipper tabs, the outer of the pocket, and the lining of the pocket, which is nylon ripstop. That's a fabric that doesn't fray, so just keep that in mind. That's also mentioned in the pattern itself. then you're gonna have two rectangular pieces for your small packet, and both of them are interfaced. You're gonna have a long zipper facing for our main zipper opening. That piece of fabric is not interfaced. You're gonna have two lining panels also cut on mirror, so you want to make sure you have two pieces that are cut on mirror and interfaced, and your two main outer panels also cut on mirror. So you want to make sure you have this piece plain, and then in this piece you're gonna cut two openings for your small zipper packet and for your main zipper opening, two zipper tape pieces. And in this tutorial I'm gonna add instructions how to add the zipper opening overlay. So that's something additional outside of the pattern, so I'm just gonna give you like a little extra option for the pattern. Also, you'll need some webbing tape. I have all my 3 pieces of the webbing cut to size. We're gonna have some hardware, so I'm gonna be using some rivets. I have my back tag, my slider adjuster, my square ring, and 3 zipper pulls. I'm gonna use this flower zipper pull for my front zipper, and since the 2 zipper openings are gonna be on the back and really not gonna be visible when you're wearing your backpack, so I'm just gonna use the generic zipper pulls for those zippers. Also for my thread, I'm gonna be using this Gutenberg Mera 70 thread. Those are all our main elements of the project. So now we can put some stuff on the side and start with our front packet. To start the project, we're gonna create the front of our bag. To do that, we're gonna work on our front packet. So you wanna have this panel handy. And first we're gonna prep our zipper. So here I'm gonna show you a little bit different technique for creating the zipper tabs. You can follow the pattern, or you can just repeat what I'm gonna show you here in this video. So first we want to make sure that we have our zipper pull on. Since this is the front zipper, I'm gonna use my little flower zipper pull. So my zipper pull is on. I want to make sure that my zipper is nice and straight, since I'm gonna be putting a zipper tab on it. Now I'm gonna cut my little piece in half. And now that I have 2 zipper tabs, I'm gonna attach them to my zipper. So you want to take one of the zipper tabs and place it right side down on the zipper tape and clip. Do the same with the other zipper tab. When you have that done, you're gonna take the zipper to the machine and you're gonna sew the zipper tabs on with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length to attach the zipper tabs onto your zipper tape. Now that you have the zipper tabs sewn in, you're gonna wrap the other end around nice and tight and clip the extra ends. Repeat that on the other side. And now take it back to the machine and top stitch along the folded edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. And because we have the extra fabric on the back, we don't have to worry about aligning it perfectly. After we have it sewn, then we're gonna trim the excess. Now that you have your top stop stitch, we're gonna trim the excess. And you have your zipper ready. So now you just want to keep in mind how the zipper closes and opens, because we want to make sure that our zipper pull, when it's closed, it's on this side of your front pocket. So make sure you have the correct layout. And now you can use some double-sided tape to help you affix the zipper to your front panel. Place the zipper tape, making sure it's centered on the straight edge of the pocket, this side down. You can now take it back to the machine and baste the zipper, or if you feel comfortable, you can proceed to place the lining on top of your zipper tape. So take your lining piece, you can use again some double-sided tape, and you want to make sure that the right side of your lining is with the right side of your outer pocket panel. My fabric doesn't really have a right or wrong side, but if yours does, just make sure you place those right sides together. You can add some clips to just make sure nothing shifts. And when you have your project prep like this, you want to make sure that your outer fabric is right side up, the zipper tape is wrong side up, and your lining and your outer panels are right sides together. Now that you have that done, you're gonna take the project to the machine and you're gonna sew along this straight edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch. Now that you have your lining and zipper attached to your main panel, and as you can see, I started my seam about 1/8 to 1/4 from the edges, because I'm gonna be trimming the outer edge of my pocket. So if you're gonna be adding the scalloped accent to your pocket, just keep that in mind too. Don't go all the way to the edge. All right, so now flip your project right side out, pull the lining. You can secure that with clips. If you feel comfortable giving the vinyl press, you can do that. I think I'm fine without pressing it. Just make sure you never touch your vinyl directly with the iron. Try to press it from the wrong side, or use a good amount of pressing cloth between your vinyl and your iron. So now that we have our pocket prepped like this, you're gonna take it back to the machine and you're gonna top stitch, leaving about 1/4 of an inch unsewn from each side. So you want to start your seam, carrying it along the zipper, and stop about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch from the edge if you're trimming your pocket, and make sure to backstitch on the beginning and on the end of the seam. Now that I have my pocket top stitched, still making sure that my lining is nice and flat, I'm gonna create my scalloped edge. So I'm gonna take my scallop pinking shears and trim the packet, the rounded edge of the packet. When I have my packet edge trimmed, I'm gonna take my front outer panel and using the pattern piece, I'm gonna mark the placement of my packet. So I'm using a silver pen for vinyl, and I'm gonna align my pattern piece and make marks on the end of the dotted line. Now, using double-sided tape, I'm gonna attach my zipper referring to those two marks. Now I'm gonna flip the packet wrong side up and align my zipper with those two marks. Making sure the tape is now nice and straight. Just push it to make sure it sticks nicely to your panel. You can review if you think the packet is in the right place and it looks good. And now when you have that prepped, you're gonna take your project back to the machine and you're gonna sew along this zipper tape edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and make sure to backstitch well on the beginning and on the end of the seam. Now that your zipper is attached to the outer panel, you're gonna flip the packet right side up again, and you wanna create a folded zipper. So you want your zipper not to lie flat, but you want it to be elevated. That will give the packet a little more room inside. So make sure that your lining is nice and straight behind your outer panel. You can use some double-sided tape like I did to just make sure it's stuck to the outer panel. Then you're gonna take your packet and fold the zipper so it creates a folded zipper on the top. And now, making sure again that your lining is nice and straight behind your outer panel, you can affix the packet to your outer panel with some Scotch tape, or you can use a washi tape, sewing tape, just something that can be removed. You want to make sure that you're not sticking the tape firmly on the end, just in the middle, so you can easily pull out the tape after we are done sewing. All right, so now that you have your packet prepped this way, you're gonna take it back to the machine, and I think it's best to use a zipper foot. Start sewing the packet on with the 1/8 on 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, making sure you are catching the lining as well. So take the project back to the machine, sew the packet on with the 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, whatever is more comfortable for you, and 3.5 stitch. Now after you top stitch the packet onto your front panel, your front packet is done. Now we can move on to work on our side connector. So you're gonna take the triangle pattern piece, the shortest piece of webbing, and your square ring. You're gonna thread the ring onto your webbing. When you have that prepped, take it to the machine and sew along the hardware, or as close as possible to the hardware, with the 3.5 stitch length, making sure you're back stitching on the beginning and on the end of your seam. When you have the hardware attached to your webbing, you're gonna take your side connector piece and fold it in half. Now insert your hardware in. You want to make sure you have at least 3/8 of an inch overlapped, because you want the hardware to be pretty close to your seam, but you don't want to sew over it. So just make sure that your webbing tape is about 1/2 inch inside of your side connector. And when you have that placed, secure that with clips. Take it back to the machine and sew along this edge with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. After you have that sewn, turn it right side out, pull on your hardware, fold the seam, secure with clips, and take it back to the machine and top stitch along those two edges with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that your side connector is top stitch, we're gonna trim this little corner. You can also make little notches that are about 1/8 of an inch all around the open edge. Then take your outer panel, the front outer panel, and align it, spreading the connector so it takes up the shape of the slightly curved edge. You want to be at 3/8, at least 3/8 of an inch away from this corner, so just keep that in mind. And start spreading the fabric so it takes up a rounded shape, and attach it to the outer panel with clips. So now that you have that prepped, take it to the machine and baste the side connector onto your main outer panel. Now that your side connector is based to the main outer panel, we're gonna work on our top connector. So you're gonna take the long piece of webbing tape and the shorter webbing tape. You're gonna take both of your top connector pieces. You're gonna place one of them right side up. Take the longer webbing tape piece and center it onto the connector, making sure it overlaps by about 1 inch. Clip it. Take your shorter webbing tape and create a handle. So you want to place the ends of the shorter piece of webbing right next to the long piece of webbing, making sure you have equal space on both sides. And when you have that prepped, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna baste the webbing tape onto one of the top connector pieces. You wanna make sure that your handle is not twisted and that you have about an inch overlap over the edge of your pattern piece. Now that you have the webbing based on one of your top connector pieces, take the second one and make sure you're placing them right sides together. Clip around those 3 edges. And now take it back to the machine and sew along those 3 edges with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, making sure you, on the side seams, you are not sewing through the webbing tape. So you just wanna end your seam at the point where the webbing begins. And the same thing on this side, you just don't wanna catch the webbing inside of your little corner seams. So take this to the machine, sew along those 3 edges, backstitch well on the beginning and on the end of your seam. You have that sewn. We're gonna trim those little corners. And then turn the top connector right side out. If you feel there's any extra bulk on any of those corners, just go back in and trim the seam allowance a little more. But I think mine is looking good. So since I'm happy with the way my top connector is looking, I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch it. Just a note, I attach my back tag on the top of the top connector. If that's something you want to do and you have a sew-in tag or something that needs to be attached with prongs, you should do it before you put the top connector together. Mine will be attached with rivets, so I don't mind for it to go through all the layers, and I'm gonna do it on the end of my project. But if you don't want any sign of your back tag on the back side of your top connector, just make sure you attach it before you finish up your top connector. All right, so now that I have my top connector right side out, I'm gonna push all the seams out and take it back to the machine and top stitch along those 3 edges. So my top connector is now top stitched. I'm gonna trim those little corners. Also, I'm gonna snip the open edge. And now take your outer front panel and place the top connector about 3/8 of an inch away from the side edge, making sure you are spreading it because you want it to be aligned with the curved edge of your project. And when you have that prepped, take it back to the machine and base the top connector onto your main front panel. After the top connector is attached to our front outer panel, the prep for the front outer panel is completed. Now we're gonna move on to prepping our outer back panel. In the pattern, I'll show you how to cut those two openings. Like I said, on this project, I'm gonna show you how to add the zipper overlays. This is optional, so you can just leave those opening row cut like that, or if you want to add a little accents, you can add the overlays. The technique for both is exactly the same, so I'm going to show you one and then just complete the second one off screen. So take the overlay, put some double-sided tape inside, try to put the double-sided tape inside so it's not close to any edges. Align the overlay with the opening inside of your panel. If you have a little bit of the fabric of the outer panel sticking out, don't worry about it, we can trim it afterwards. You just want to refer to the opening to have a good starting point where your overlay should be placed. So continue attaching the overlay around the opening. And when you have the overlay attached, repeat that with the overlay for the bigger zipper opening. And when you have both ready, take it back to the machine and top stitch only along the outside edge of the overlay with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. And do that on the small zipper opening and on the large zipper opening after you attach your second overlay. The overlays are now sewn in onto my outer panel. As you can see, I already actually trim this one, but I want to show you how I trim the main fabric if I have anything sticking out, because you want to make sure that your overlay opening is slightly smaller than the final opening in your main panel. So as you can see here, you can see the main panel, so I'm just gonna trim it. It doesn't have to be pretty or straight, it just have to be smaller than the overlay. And now when I turn my panel right side out, all I can see is just the edge of the overlay, and that's exactly what we want. Now that we have this prepped, now we're gonna work on our small pocket and the lining panel that will have the zipper opening to have access to our bag. So first I'm gonna take my smaller zipper piece and my lining panels for the zipper pocket. So now I have my bigger lining panel and smaller lining panel, and I'm gonna start with the bigger lining panel. So I have it right side up, this is the wrong side. I'm gonna place my zipper tape also right side up along the longer edge and secure it with clips. When I have that done, I'm gonna open my zipper, flip the whole project wrong side up, place my shorter lining panel right side up on my table, bring the other edge of the zipper tape to the top edge of my lining panel and secure with clips. So I want to make sure that the wrong side of the zipper is with the right side of my lining fabric, and when I open the project, the teeth of the zipper are on the wrong side of my lining side. So now that I have that prepped, I'm gonna take it to the machine and I'm gonna sew each lining panel onto my zipper tape. You wanna make sure that when you're sewing one side, the other side is not being sewn in. So you're sewing only through one lining panel and one side of the zipper. After that's done, flip it over, making sure everything is nice and straight underneath, and sew the other side of the zipper onto the other panel of the lining. Now that you have your lining attached to your zipper tape, and I pressed my project open, so I have a nice flat project to work with, I'm gonna insert my zipper pull. And once again, I want to make sure that I have it right, because I want the larger lining to be on the right side, and I want my zipper to close when I pull the pull to the top. So I'm gonna insert my zipper pull from this side. And now I'm gonna add 2 pieces of double-sided tape on each along each edge of the zipper tape. Remove backing of one of the strips and making sure that my larger packet is on the top. I'm gonna center the zipper inside of my small zipper opening. When I'm happy with the placement, I'm gonna remove the other backing from the other strip and secure that to my project. And now you can test it. So you want the larger lining to be on this side, because that's how the packet gonna lie when it's closed, and it should align with the edge of the shorter lining panel. So I'm confident of my layout, and now I'm gonna take it back to the machine and I'm gonna top stitch around the zipper opening, making sure my lining stays nice and open. And I'm gonna be sewing with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. After the lining and the zipper is top stitched in our zipper opening, you're gonna place the larger lining panel on top of the smaller one. If you have any length difference, just trim it, don't worry about it. And now fold the end of the packet up by about 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Clip the sides of the packet. And take the project back to the machine and sew the sides of the packets only with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Use a zipper foot if that will allow you to come closer to the main panel. You can sew it from the right side, so just fold the outer panel out of the way and sew both sides of our lining for our zipper packet. Now that you have the side of the packet sewn, our zipper packet is completed. We're gonna use that opening to turn our project right side out, so just make sure you did not sew at the bottom of the packet. Now we can put the outer panel on the side and we're gonna work on our lining panel. So you have 2 lining panels, and what you want to make sure you are gonna work on the lining panel, that when you put wrong sides together, it matches the outer back panel. And so to create our opening in our lining panel, you're gonna take the parent piece, and this time we're gonna transfer only the outlines of the big zipper opening. So you wanna flip your lining panel wrong side up, place your template on, mark the corners, take a ruler and connect those marks. Take your little zipper opening backing piece and place it underneath the marked opening. You can use a light source to help you find the placement. Just hold the project against the window, and you're going to be able to see the outline of the backing piece and center it on top of your drawn zipper opening. Flip it over, making sure your overlay is right sides together with the right side of your main lining panel, and secure this with pins. You want to pin the piece on the edges because we're going to be sewing on the wrong side of our lining, so you don't want to be you don't want your presser foot to go over your pins. And now that you have your lining prepped like this, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew all around the marked zipper opening. You can use 2.5 stitch length. Now that you have your zipper backing piece sewn in onto your lining, we're gonna create a cut inside of the zipper opening that runs the whole length, and a little triangles along the short edges. When you have the cut done, you're gonna put the lining backing inside. Fold the backing along the seam. You can take it to the ironing board. Iron this around the seams, making sure your backing is folded nicely inside of your lining panel, on the wrong side of your lining panel. Now that you have your backing pressed nicely on the wrong side of your lining panel, you're gonna take the last piece of your zipper tape and insert your zipper pull. And two things to keep in mind. So you want the zipper pull to be on the top, which is this side, when the zipper is closed. And also just keep in mind that this is a lining, so we want the pull and the teeth of the zipper show through our outer panel. So we're gonna flip our zipper wrong side up to attach it inside of our lining opening. Place strips of double-sided tape along the long edges of the zipper tape. Place your zipper teeth side down on the table. Remove backing of one of the strips. And center the zipper inside of the opening. Now remove the tape from the other side. Remove the backing of the tape from the other side. Now that your zipper tape is positioned inside of your opening, you're gonna sew the zipper onto the lining panel, and you have two options. You can just top stitch along the zipper opening on the right side of your lining, or you can lift the lining and sew just by the seam of the zipper opening the zipper on. This way you're not gonna have a seam on the right side of your lining, because then we're gonna sew it on or top stitch it again when we attach the lining to our main zipper panel. So I'm gonna take my project to the machine, and I'm gonna sew the zipper tape on only to my backing piece. So my zipper is sewn in. Now that I have that prepped, I'm gonna attach my lining panel to my back outer panel. So I'm gonna support myself with a double-sided tape again. Remove backing of one of the strips. I'm gonna take my outer panel and making sure that my little pocket is nice and flat and it's not gonna cover my zipper. I'm gonna center the zipper inside of my big zipper opening. I'm gonna make sure that my lining is aligned with my outer panel. It looks good. And now that I have my zipper centered inside of my zipper opening, I have my lining nice and flat behind my panel, and they are both wrong sides together. I have my zipper pocket away from my large zipper opening. I'm gonna take it to the machine, and I'm gonna top stitch along the zipper opening on the vinyl overlay all around to attach my lining panel to my outer panel and to create the main back closure. And now our lining panel is attached to our main back outer panel, and we have the main access to our back created. And now we're gonna work on our outer panels, because we want to create our little pleat to give the back a little more dimension. So you're gonna take your pattern piece flip the project wrong side up, align it, and mark the little notches. Repeat the same thing with the front panel. When you have that mark, you're gonna create your little pleat, and you want the pleat to fold. You're gonna connect the outer marks first, and then fold the pleat towards the bottom of your bag. Clip that, and repeat the same thing on the back panel. So you're gonna fold the fabrics together, connecting the outer marks, and then fold the pleat towards the bottom. Make sure that the pleat is in the same place on both panels. Adjust it if needed, and if you're happy with the placement of the pleats, just take it to the machine and baste the pleats in place. After you have the pleats created in your outer panels, you're gonna repeat the same thing on the lining. And now that you have those two pleats clipped on your lining, take the project to the machine and baste the pleats in place. Now that we have our outers and our linings prepped, we're gonna work on attaching our outer panels together. So place the front panel right side up on your table. Take the back outer panel and place it right sides together on top of the front panel, and start clipping the outer panels together. Make sure that the lining is out of the way, so you can fold it, fold the packet, and start clipping your outer panels together all around. You want to pull the zipper pulls down. When you have your project prepped like this, you're gonna sew the outers together all around the project. And when you are sewing the project, make sure the lining stays out of the way of your seam. So you're gonna be sewing only the outer panels together all around with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now my outer is sewn all around. As you can see, I decided to do a row of stitches just off one of the other, just to make sure that my thread won't peek through when I turn my project right side out. That's something you may want to consider doing as well. But that's outers sewn together. Now we're gonna work on our lining. So now take the second lining panel and place it right sides together with your lining panel that is already attached to your bag and clip all around the edges. When you have your panels clipped together, and again only the lining panels are clipped together, my outer panel is out of the way, and also my small zipper pocket lining is out of the way. So now that I have the lining panels clipped together, I'm gonna take it to the machine and I'm gonna sew all around my project. You can sew it from this side so you can see that all your elements are out of the way. And with the lining, you want to increase the seam allowance to 1/2 inch to get a nicer fitted feel inside of your bag. Now my lining is also sewn all the way around. So now I'm gonna trim my seam allowances. I'm going to be using pinking shears because I want to make sure that my seams, when my project is turned right side out, will have a nice curvy shape to it. If you don't have pinking shears, trim your seam allowances to about 1/4 of an inch and make a little snips all around the curvy parts. In the lining, you can just trim the seam allowance to 1/4, and it's not going to be that visible inside of your bag, so you don't have to worry about making the notches all around your project. You may want to make sure that there's not much fabric in the little corners. And now we're gonna turn our project right side out through our pocket. Now that you turn your project right side out, just see if you are happy with the shape, if any seam needs to be fixed. I think my project is looking good. I'm gonna let it sit a little bit with the clips, so I'm gonna make sure it keeps this cute little rounded shape. If you are confident enough, you can treat the project with a little heat to make sure your seams are staying nice and rounded. Otherwise, we can now move on to finishing up our strap. First, make sure that your long strap is on the back side of your handle. flip your project back side up. Make sure your webbing is not twisted. Thread your sliding adjuster onto your webbing, making sure that your sliding adjuster is in this position on your webbing, and keep making sure that your webbing is not twisted. Thread your webbing through the side tab, come back up and thread the end of the webbing through the middle bar of the adjuster. Clip the end of your webbing with the part that was just threaded. Make sure that your strap is not twisted, that the webbing is in the correct position when you're gonna be using the bag. You can now take the webbing to the machine and sew it together, or attach the webbing with rivets, and I'm gonna be using rivets, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. Since my rivet posts are pretty long, I'm gonna fold my webbing tape over, mark the rivet placement, so my strap is now completed. Don't forget to finish up your pocket. Pull on the lining of the pocket and clip it together. And when you have that prepped, take it to the machine and top stitch along this edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 or 3.5 stitch. Now that the pocket is sewn, you can place it inside of your bag. And your project is basically completed. You can add a couple extra details if you like. I'm gonna add a couple rivets to my side connector, to my top connector. I'm gonna install my handmade tag. And now the project is completed. The project is now completed. I think the bag came out really cute. It has this nice cute little front pocket with this scallop edge, and on the back we added the zipper overlay that I think adds to the cuteness of the bag. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you're gonna give the project a go. The link to the pattern is in the description box below. Please make sure to tag me on social media if you decide to create one of those backpacks. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Till the next time.